Should be starting. Okay, there you go. Okay, good. Welcome everybody again. And, my name is Alan, and I have to be pretty busy too. Looking at people that join in, I need to admit them as well. So I got a busy job. So I'll share screen first and get us going. Somebody wants to join again. So let me see. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So before I turn it over to our feature speaker, honor speaker, Charlie, and I'm just going to say a few words for those joining us as the first time, a little bit about background about CMRC, so that you get a little bit of context about what we're doing. So CMRC, of course, is a origin is from the Diversity Council. And the purpose at that time, when Diversity Council was the convening group, there's an echo here. I'm not sure it's me or somebody. So as it was started, the purpose is to ensure the changing of power dynamics so that the underrepresented voices amplify our voices and also try to change the way that the system is being worked. Can somebody mute their phone out there?
With about 38% of the fire zone searched. We talked to a Minnesota native who lives in Hawaii who was evacuated for days.
Oh, it could be me. Is it me or somebody?
Hard hit Lahaina.
Okay, good.
It is Jim. Jim need to mute himself. Jim, can you mute your mic?
Jim, I think it's you, right? Okay.
Yep.
You're listening. Okay. Please, when you're not talking, mute your speaker. And of course, a little bit because Diversity Council is dissolved, as we know, sadly. So, but we wanted to continue this effort. A couple of reasons why we do that. Some of you may not even know that the CMRC was actually very, it's actually all as part of this whole effort. When George Floyd was murdered back a couple of years ago, the Rochester area consortium actually had a community racial justice pledge for the area. And the whole idea is about listen, learn, and act, right? So that pledge was signed by a lot of organizations. All these organizations signed it. You can see that list. And for the act part, they actually were supposed to commit to working with CMRC to diversify perspectives and increase diverse participation. So CMRC was an integral part of the whole building out of the racial justice pledge. And so when Diversity Council was dissolved, there's still a feeling that we really want to continue to this work here because it's very important for us to get to continue. And so I'll just also remind people that who are we? From a standpoint of the steering committee members. We're the steering committee members. These are the group of people that are in the steering committee. Not everyone is here today. However, these are the group of people that try to steer the ongoing effort of CMRC. And okay, so so that's kind of what I want to share to kick us off of setting the context. So for today's meeting, we'll have with Charlie Perkins going to talk to us about how to monetize content. And before I go on, I just want to kind of touch base a bit about the previous meeting that we had, just to kind of show you the power of CMRC, because we record meetings. And so the last meeting we had, Mark Thorne joined, so we had folks that talk about One Olmsted Community Council. Basically, Olmsted County came and talked to us. In fact, they showed us this very profound diagram here that they're working on. So this Olmsted County is saying that they will form this community council to drive their diversity effort. What do they drive? They drive the joint study of racism and that impact on health for community. So this community council being formed will drive this effort, as well as they'll drive this other effort called SHIP, which is stand for state something about, we call the exact name. Anyway.
Statewide Health Improvement Program.
Okay, good, thank you. So there, Olmsted County have done their joint study and have this SHIP program as part of the state effort. So this community council is being formed. In fact, it's going through some design phase right now. It's not quite there yet, the designing how to form this group. So I just want to share the power of CMRC, that we have people come to tell us the context of what the ecosystem being driven by various organizations. We will build out this ecosystem. And we also feel the CMRC has a role to play in participating. We hold ourselves responsible, accountable to help out the community, as well as to say that, all right, you have done all this work, co-designing and everything to build this community council. We want to, from time to time, interlock with them and see how they're doing and how we can help. So I just want to remind people the importance of CMRC. I guess that's what and so that was last month meeting. And so today I'm going to turn over right now to Charlie Perkins. Of course, Charlie is a friend of CMRC, and he's this is the LinkedIn. I picked up this thing from LinkedIn, that he's obviously a strategic thinker, and board chair recovery is happening with, and a number of things, including the board member of United Way of Olmsted County. And he's a busy guy, and I really appreciate that he's being here to give us a perspective of how to monetize, or how to make money, I can call it that way. If you have your own content, and you can license some content and really utilize the internet to really monetize your content. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to Charlie, and then this is his slide, and Charlie, and you're ready, and I'm going to share, make it a lot bigger. Yeah.
Before you do that, Al, would you check your email? I had to make a change on a couple of the slide decks, so I'm going to speak for a minute while you upload the new deck, please.
Oh, really? Okay. All right. So.
Yeah, it'll only take you a minute. So just check your email, update the new one. So it's good to see everybody. Some of you I know, some of you I'm meeting today for the first time. So it's good to be here. Just a little bit about me. I just retired a year and a half ago from Mayo Clinic. So I worked for Mayo for 17 years as a senior manager in the Division of Media Support Services. I managed over 200 of Mayo's meeting rooms. My background is in video production, photography, and in media. In another life, years ago, I actually was one of Michael Jordan's photographers. I covered Michael Jordan and the Bulls' second three-peat championship from '96 through '98. And got a chance to work with the players and, and with the Bulls organization as a freelance photographer. I attended Northwestern, taking radio, TV production. And I've always been behind the camera. So when Al asked me to do this, it's like I am out of my element in front of the screen and in front of the camera. So I'm really happy to be here. I said that to say that I am a lifelong learner, and technology has always been key for me and something I've always been passionate about. So between video production and photography, now that I'm out of Mayo Clinic and I'm out in the, I guess out from under Mayo's thumb, I'm busy in the community working with the United Way, and board chair of recovery is happening, and Next Chapter Ministry. So we deal with addictions, incarcerations, and of course, United Way and all the good things that they provide and do in the community. So I'm really a busy guy. but I do enjoy technology and learning new things. Having said that, I ran into Al last week, who invited me for coffee. And I guess I had this look on my face when I walked in. He said, Charlie, what have you been doing? I said, I just launched a new radio station. He goes, what are you talking about? I said, I launched an internet radio station. I didn't even know that was possible, but I was intrigued by it. And over 2 days, I was able to launch a gospel station, it's gospel music. Also was able to upload my podcast. If you don't know, I have a article in the Rochester Color and the Post Bulletin that's launches every Friday. I write an article, and the agreement that I have with the Post Bulletin is I give them content and then they promote my podcast, and that's been working great over the last year. So anyway, I wanted to talk about that a little bit. I want to get into the internet radio because I'm still learning. Al, it's only been a week, but I'm off and running. But I wanted to share that with your group today and answer any questions you guys might have. So this is really fascinating. So long-term vision for me, as I broach this, is that someday maybe have my own Sirius XM radio station. Now that may seem pie in the sky because it's way out there for me right now. But with the content that I produce on with all the platforms I'm on for my podcast, I have over 10,000 followers on I guess it's X now, but Twitter. I have over 10,000 followers on Instagram. I'm fully loaded on Facebook. I have followers all over the place. So what I'm finding value in is starting to monetize and take advantage of these platforms. And that's kind of what I want to talk a little bit about today. So let me start with that. Al, if we go to the next slide, if Al's going to drive. So I
Sorry
had
to
this idea.
interrupt. Sorry to interrupt. Can you make it a bigger slide? Can you just to full screen?
Yes,
I'll leave that on Al's side.
It's just showing on the middle section of it only.
Yeah, the difficulty is here to make it. Yeah.
Maybe save it to your docs desktop and then open it.
So while Al is doing that, there's a platform called Zen FM. If you're interested, is Zen FM. Zen FM is basically it promotes itself as the easiest way to create and listen to radio stations and podcasts. And it's actually known for online streaming and live broadcasting. So I did a little research with other radio stations before I launched my own. This one I found really easy to use because they have pre-populated templates, and basically you pre-populate your information, it designs it, and then you come out with a product. So Al, if you go to the next slide, and this is what it looks like. So if you click that link, I'll give you an example of what mine looks and sounds like. So this is what I created over 2 days. Charlie Perkins Empowered Inspirational Radio. Now, as I speak, you might think about how your organization, how this might look and feel for you, because that's what we're talking about today. I'm just going to give you examples of what I've done. And you're able to create your radio station. You're able to put a description in. You're able to populate all the social media platforms as I did. It also gives you a space for donating. For your listeners have an opportunity to donate through PayPal and through the Cash App. Those come directly to the broadcaster. There's also an app. If you QR code the app, then you get a link on your phone or you get an app on your phone. So you have two platforms, either desktop, your laptop, or on your phone. They all work great. And then I'm also able to put in announcements. So any messages you guys may have, you can do that daily. You can do it whenever you want. You pick a photo, and your listeners are invited to log in and create their own account. but basically it's your radio station that you're pushing. So Al, if you just take 30 seconds, that listen now button, if you can press that, it's what it sounds like. I hope.
Can you hear or not? Cannot hear, huh?
Can't hear it. Okay.
Yeah. The reason is I did not share with.
Okay.
Oh, let me try again. I need to share with the sound on. You know. Okay, so I can do that. Hang on a minute. Okay. I'll stop sharing for now. When I do share, I need to share it with allowing the sound to come on too, including computer sound. Yeah.
Comfortable, it could only have one name. Enjoy 4 layers of cozy support for
Can you
just
hear now?
$9.95. Plus,
Yes.
get AirScape technology
Yes,
to help you
yes.
wake up refreshed.
What you're
Share your
listening to
best
now
parts
are
at our
2
best price
commercials
with
that
the
you
new
get
Casper
paid for.
mattress. Shop
So I get
online
paid
or
for these
visit a Casper
commercials
Sleep
playing
shop
on my
near you
radio
today.
station.
Casper,
Or you want to hear some more, or you want to?
A
for the
little
love
bit
of
more
sleep.
out. Yeah.
Exclusions apply. See casper.com/promo.
Cars.com has over 2 million cars for every possible you. Want to be a stylish professional for your new city job? Well, there's a sleek German car for that. Want to be an off-the-grid explorer? There's a 4-wheel drive car for that. Or would you rather be king of the carpool, chauffeuring 7 rambunctious little leaguers to post-game pizza? Well, there's plenty of spacious third-row cars for that. Wherever life takes you next and whoever you're looking to be, there's a car for that on Cars.com. Where to next?
Okay, I'll thank you. So what I wanted to do was illustrate what happens when someone launches your station. If they're in their car, they're on their phone, if they're sitting at their desk. I have people who listen while they're working, while they're cleaning their homes, whether it's my podcast or music. I get paid for those ads that run. That's the monetizing part, Al, that I wanted to go to. Al, if you can go to the next slide. This is the podcast. I wanted to share this because my second channel, actually I can populate all of my podcasts, and this is the on-demand portion of the radio station. Just a minute of that, Al. I think Al
Question
has to
before
go
I
back to
can
me.
you do that? Do you have to
Yeah.
pay for it to host it on Zen?
You have to, I have the premium account, which is $60 a month, but I also get, again, I get the monetizing. I get that back. There's a couple, yeah, there's a couple ways of monetizing, and I'll get into that in a minute, but
Okay.
part of subscriptions, part of people who just send me $5, $10 a month through subscriptions, the ads that are played. Yes, there is a fee for the hosting of a live broadcast, but if I was streaming my podcast, that's actually free. So you have 2 choices because the podcast is on demand, but I subscribe to a live broadcast platform, and there is a fee for hosting it. So you have 2 versions.
Okay. Thank you.
So just click at the top where it says podcast, radio and podcast, Al. Click podcast. Again, the setup is the same. If we were to do this for your organization, we would get a photo, we write a description, QR code, folks can download it. Just
Seems
click over
like-
the top, Al, where it says radio and then podcast, right at the top. Just click podcast.
This is not this guy, huh? Not
No,
loading.
go above, go above. I'm sorry, I can't drive, but no, right over here. Keep
Oh,
it right there.
podcast. Okay, podcast.
Okay, click Wisdom with Charlie. Click
Yep.
that. This is my podcast. I'm able to, as you would be able to, bring over all of your content and put it on this platform free of charge. Just pick one to play, Al, just for 30 seconds. Just pick one. All of my podcasts, which I'm on all platforms, this is what it plays in then. Hello, everyone. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, wherever you're listening to this podcast today. Apple Podcasts,
That's
Amazon
great, Al.
Music, Amazon. So for my listeners, now they have another platform, which is my radio station, which is fascinating to me, Al, because I can do music, I can do podcasts, and by hosting, I have a 3rd channel, and I haven't figured out what I want to do with that one yet. But this is what's possible for your organization. If you go to the next slide, we can talk about content is king. So this is where the rubber meets the road. So I write a lot. I'm a top voice on LinkedIn and leadership development articles. Have a newsletter. So leadership is real key for me. So my podcast surrounds itself around the leadership tips and inspiration and things like that. So what I'm showing you is what's possible through this platform of internet radio. So content is key. So if we were to do something for the organization moving into this realm, think about what messages you want to convey, what do you want to send out, what do you want to put out there. Next slide, Al, go down. So the benefits of Zen Radio provides a global access to diverse music genres. There's plenty of them out there. In fact, I'm starting to advertise on some of the internet stations that are available online. It's easily accessible on computers and smartphones. It's interactive. Uh, Community engagement through discussions and chats. We talked about that. You can send emails. You can put announcements on. You can engage your audience that way, get feedback. The on-demand aspect, that's my podcast part. So anyone 24/7 can go in and that's free and click any of my podcasts and catch up or listen. I have the principal of Century High School who binge listens once a month. One of my neighbors down the street in her yoga classes or when she's working out, she plays it. So I have many people who listen in different ways, but it's on demand. So it's really flexible that way. And it's also connecting people globally. Whoever in the world has an internet connection, you have an opportunity to mix with those folks. The next one, Al.
So can I ask a question here too?
Sure.
Are you also basically saying that it's so easy to get on the Zen platform that
Oh my goodness.
organizations that
Absolutely.
here could even think about their own content and put some kind of radio station up there? Is that right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's the beauty of this. And that's where content is important. Putting it on the station, launching it, it drives itself. You get paid if you're on the platform with ads that are running. The ads are based on what region of the country you're in. That's where the ads populate. I haven't checked my account yet, but I've been told I have pennies in there. So I don't know how much. This is all new to me, but I know from the support team at Zen, that's what they've explained to me, that I'm populating coins, for the ads running.
Okay.
The
Thank
next
you.
slide just talks about I know Al is big on this, and this is the promotional opportunities with revenue generation. So the internet radio generates income through advertising, sponsorships, and subscriptions. So think about that. Those are three buckets. So advertising, I take my car to Broadway Auto right here on Broadway downtown. It's possible that I can negotiate with them. I can actually do it myself, bring them in, record a 30-second commercial spot, make it an MP3, put it on my playlist, and they would be an advertiser as we go through my playlist and charge them a monthly fee. That's possible to do. Sponsorships, you can actually have sponsors from other organizations or groups who want to pay you, for content you might be adding for them, or if they want to sponsor your station, that's a possibility. And also through subscriptions. I have already a few people in the last week who I'm getting monthly subscriptions from. So as you think of your organization, if you do this, this is where the promotion and the revenue generation starts. And you can see how that could grow into something large if we look at it as an organization where you go after major companies to advertise on your station. So I wanted to mention that, Al. I know that was a big piece for you. Now, the next slide, these are the steps. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Can I ask a question in terms of if one of our members wanted to try this out, can we call upon you?
Yes.
In your busy schedule as it is?
Free of charge.
Okay, good. Thank you. Yeah.
George would vouch for me that I'm okay, and I'm a man of my word. I'm a man of faith. And if you
Absolutely.
guys reach out to me, I will I will do anything I can to help you. I think George knows that, sometimes to a fault. So
Okay, thank you.
steps to monetize. This is what you keep in mind. Quality content. Remember, content is king. Um, create compelling and unique content that your audience would want to hear. So you want to put something out there that people want to talk about, that want to hear about. When I think about it, I attended 2 meetings here, Al, previous. Those grants and those platforms that you spoke of before, you can easily talk about that, put it out there for people to hear. People click a button, they can hear it. It's on demand. You send a link, people listen to it, you have a conversation. It's very easy to do, and I can help create that. That's not a problem. You want to concentrate on building your audience, your branding and positioning, brand identity for this organization. I already talked about advertising and sponsorships and subscription models. All these things require someone thinking it through, but you can definitely strategize around that. Donations, merchandising. Imagine going to Rochester Fest and having merchandise, that said CRM, what is it? CMRC?
CMRC.
Thank you, CMRC. So if we had merchandise, T-shirts, cup holders, if we had a table, Al, we can actually do live broadcasting from out there on a radio station. So there's ways to promote, and here again, this is promotion, it's advertising, it also leads to monetizing. Live events, affiliate marketing, all these things are possible through monetizing the content on your radio station. And I'm looking into several of these. I'm only a week in. Some of these things I've already started, but it is fascinating. Any questions so far for what I've talked about?
Yeah, I have a question. Do you have a stats on how many people are, hitting your site or
That's a great question, because I can go in the background and look at analytics, and I'm not sure how often it populates, but I am able to pull that information. So yes, you'd be able to go in and look at how many people and where in the country, actually where in the world. They give you a world map, and depending on where you are, you have listeners that they indicate where they are. So mine's brand new. I've only been out there a week, but it is possible to get those statistics and that data.
So since last 1 week, have you gathered some numbers? How many people are visiting your site and clicking on your radio stations?
I have not. So I've talked to people who verbalize, Charlie, I'm playing your station. It's in my office all day. I had 2 people from Georgia, friends of mine, who are listening today from their phones. So I've not gone that. I have been really busy, so I haven't looked. I will do that, but I have not investigated that. But I know in setting my page up, it gives you that information. I'm not sure if it's every day or how it populates, but it is possible to get that information.
Yeah, that will also help you to, get, promotion, advertising and all, because people will look for that, right? How many people are visiting your site?
Yes, absolutely. So my thing is, I put a link on my LinkedIn. I did a LinkedIn post a week ago. Did one on Facebook over the weekend. I hit Twitter twice. I have a lot of followers. I haven't touched Instagram yet. I have over 10,000 Instagram followers. I don't even know who these people are. But my point is, if you put the content out there, and this takes time to build. It takes time to build.
Sure.
Right now, my friends have it. I'm the president of my HOA here, and I can walk down the street, and most of my neighbors here are aware of my platform, my podcast, and I've got a lot of listeners. So, but to answer your question, I have not gone there, but it is possible to get that information.
Perfect. Sounds good. Thanks.
Al,
Charlie,
you
I have
go
a
to-
question.
oh,
It might be a
I'm
silly
sorry,
one,
Sure.
but
I can't see everybody. I'm sorry.
this is Mark Vine with the Small Business Development Center. But I know this is radio, but when you sign up, is there an option for video too? Or is it just radio and
Well,
that's it?
this is Mark, that's a great question. This is just radio. I'm going to get to the video in just a second, but
Okay.
I do have some ideas around video, as Al knows. Al asked me to speak on that, but that's a great question, and we're going to hit that next.
Thank you.
One comment, I think you mentioned to me that it only took you 2 days to start a
2
station.
days.
2 days.
But remember now, remember, Al, I'm a geek. So I have all this. This is my lab in here now. I have my podcast. I can do video production. I can do photography. I have all the tools right here. I converted one of my bedrooms when I retired from Mayo. So my George has been here. My whole office, one of the bedrooms, it looks like a think tank. So I have an 80-inch monitor right here next to me. It's huge. But I have all the tools in this room that will, geeks will lick their lips about, oh my God, let me get in there and do something. But having said that, it's really easy to do, and I can actually walk anyone through it. If you guys are interested, just send me a note, text me, email me, and I could have you up and running in a day or two. It's really not that difficult, but it is fascinating.
Charlie, do you bring on guests?
I have not yet. My podcast says I will, but I've not gone there yet. Not yet. I've been out here a year doing my podcast. I get a lot of feedback about the content that I share. I also keep them around 10 minutes because I realize the attention span of the audience. I've had people offer and ask, Charlie, can I come on your broadcast? It's like when I get there, because right now I'm kind of flowing in a certain lane. It's working for me, and yeah, it's been way more than I could have ever imagined. My podcast and newspaper and all of that, but that is something I'll explore. But Mark, I'm not doing it right now.
That's a great potential for monetizing.
Yes,
And you get the right content and get the right following.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you go to the next slide, Al, I know we're pressed for time. So
well, that's all right. We got plenty of time because we don't have a whole lot of things to talk about. Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if you guys find it interesting, we'll keep pushing. Getting the CMRC message across. That's what Al asked me to speak on. And this is where, Mark, the video piece comes in. So again, I'm going to volunteer pro bono my time. I have all the production equipment to shoot, edit, audio. I can do it all from the studio that I have here. I don't promote myself. I just retired from Mayo. I thought it would be a conflict of interest, certainly while I worked for Mayo. But I have done weddings for doctors. I've done video for some of the for people that know me, and they contact me. I usually step up and I can get things done. But I'm busy on so many boards. I really don't have time to really promote myself. So what I'm going to show you is how video can help tell a story with your organization. If you go up one more, Al, before I press that, the Minnesota Department of Education. So I had a request. This is from Becky Gerdes, who used to be the principal of Bamber Valley. She now works for the Department of Education. I've done some work for her and her family and her church in the past. And she said, Charlie, I have an opportunity. We need a video for the Minnesota Department of Education. And I met with 7 or 8 people over Zoom. We talked about what they had in mind to structure this. And I want to play it for you and then get some feedback. But this is a short video, but it's an example of how we can use video for this organization. As you watch it, just think about how this might work for CMRC. If you just click that out. There we go.
Greetings from the Minnesota Department of Education. The Minnesota Department of Education, Division of Special Education, is excited to share with you about a multi-year grant to support American Indian students with disabilities. The goal of this grant is to increase the graduation rate of American Indian students with disabilities. This opportunity will provide district teams with coaching, modeling, and training to implement evidence-based practices such as Check and Connect. Voices of students, staff, and administration that have been awarded this grant shared the success of the project.
And this program has really proven to have somebody, check and connect with some of our students out there who maybe would fall through the cracks in other places. They're going to be successful here. And that, of course, is going to translate, these are such developmental years right now, but throughout life very successfully.
It is important that we have representation in special education for our Native students because we have a disproportionate number of Native children in our state that are in special education.
Even if you feel like this grant is too much for your school to take on because there's so many loopholes that you have to go through, I think it's really worth it because of the reasons that I stated, because it brings you together, makes you close like a family.
How I can really support them, not only academically, but emotionally, maybe with mental health, and celebrate the successes that they're having.
The SPDG grant is a wonderful program. It allows for some blurring of the lines between special ed and Indian ed programs so that you can cross over more and share funding, resources, and knowledge. So it's been great that we can actually do that without having to hash out who's paying for what and how it's being paid for, and then incorporate the kids together with their heritage and their culture and some of their beliefs, and really educate those others that are not part of the community in those.
And just working together.
Okay, good enough, Charlie.
Yep,
Boy,
that's good.
Okay.
So again, this was a project. It took 3 months for us to produce. It was written by someone from the content expert. So here again, if you think about CMRC, CMRC, I'll get it down. If you think about CMRC and then what we might put out there content-wise, video-wise, telling that story and using content experts, I can come in and do the technical, but you guys, you're the ones who know the content. You're the content experts. It is possible to put something together to promote, to inform, educate. That's possible. Mark, back to your question, this was actually put on the Minnesota Department of Education's website, which is where it lives. It's a 3-year grant, and it's working. It's working. We started out with 15 minutes. We got it down to 3, which took a lot of politicking, a lot of pulling of hair. Everybody who's a stakeholder wanted more time, but we got it down, and it's been working. It's been effective. Al, if you go to the next one, this is something now. I attend Autumn Ridge here, and I don't know, many of you may know Pastor Steer before he retired, but I was Pastor Steer's videographer. I produced his weekly videos for 3 years prior to COVID and prior to John retiring. And every week we would produce a short video about the sermon that he was going to be preaching that Sunday. We had a standing 4 o'clock meeting every Wednesday. By Wednesday night, I had a completed, edited video that I would send to his communication team, who put it all on social media. The backstory about this, he went from 0 to having over 4,000 people from around the world watch his weekly short video clips. And he looks at me and he goes, "What have you created?" I said, "I think a monster, John," because while Autumn Ridge is huge here in Rochester, his relatives, his friends in London were getting his weekly promo and messages, and actually over the internet. Of course, you can get it all over the world. They asked me to produce a short video for creative media, and this is what this looks like. Think about it for CMRC. It's the one before that one, Al.
Nope, I don't know.
You know, one, go back.
I don't know why it didn't.
That's fine. Just play that one. That's fine.
Yeah.
This is one of John's.
This plate of delicious donuts illustrates the challenge of our subject this weekend. Maybe your temptation isn't donuts, but all of us have areas in our life where we struggle for self-control. This weekend, we're going to look at how God tells us how to say no to certain things. He does this because he wants the very best for us, and he wants us to be a witness for him. We're going to look at the resources that God has given us to learn self-control. I think it's
Okay, got it. All right, Charlie.
Yep.
Okay.
If you back up one, I think that one would be more appropriate for, click this one. This is only a
I
minute.
don't
Let
know
this one play
why.
all the way.
I don't know why I couldn't do that. You
Don't
just
worry, just click it. It's ready.
click this one.
Yes. 1 minute.
People are moved by stories. In today's society, visual media is the storytelling language of our culture. At Autumn Ridge, we realize that for us to bring the message of the gospel to an ever-changing, media-driven culture, we need to continue to make advancements in our media ministry as well. We're looking for volunteers with passion, talent, creativity, and vision in the area of sound engineering, lighting, video camera operation, and video editing. If that sounds like you, or if God has gifted you in any of these areas, then take the next step and serve in a media position with creative media at Autumn Ridge Church. Help us tell the stories of what God is doing through Autumn Ridge.
So that's an example of what we can do in 60 seconds. I wrote the script. I used one of the talents at the church for the voiceover. I added the music. I produced that we had that done within a week. I had the content. Here we go with content. So I had all the footage available to use to pull that story together. So again, content is king, but we have the resources to get something like that done. If you think about CMRC, I got it right, Al. You think about CMRC, what stories might we tell to promote the organization? So what I mentioned to Al a week ago was it's possible to interview members 60-minute style of CMRC, and they tell their story in support of the organization. And we can actually put modules on your website based on any topic. I mean, you guys are the experts, you're the content experts, but it's possible to do something short, put it on your website for the world to see, or actually post them on social media. It is possible to take this to the next level. We can do short video clips of really anything that's vitally important to you, and only you guys know what that is. I don't know. I am willing to offer my time to help launch that, get that going, but it's going to take your brain power to say, here's what we would like to do, and then I can help. I'm offering to help put that out there.
Got it. Any questions, anybody?
And I think I have one more thing, Al, that
Yeah.
you asked me to speak on.
One question.
I'm sorry.
Because of when you work with media, social media, we go into the liability and a lot of the kind of constructs that maybe in a nonprofit organization, it can be marketable, but when is the line about nonprofit organization and being a small business?
So I think what's important is anyone who appears on camera, we should have a release. So I'm always careful who I shoot. For example, the school video that you saw, we have releases of all the students who appeared on camera. And I would encourage, I even use that policy at Mayo Clinic. So any patient, any students, anyone I was shooting, I needed a release before that could hit the air or before we were allowed to even use that image. And and then I'm also aware of content where it's we watch the language, what's acceptable, so we don't cross that line. The music that I use is public domain, or it's music I purchased, so there's no problem with that. So the content is original, the music is original, or it's approved. The platform you put it on, I think as a rule of thumb, you want to think short in maybe 30-second or 1-minute durations. So if you think about a commercial, these are all the elements that go into that. But I think in terms of what that line is, even if you're a nonprofit, some of the rules are pretty straightforward, and that would be content that's acceptable, making sure the content is quality, making sure the video looks good and it sounds good. I've seen some bad stuff out there. I know what that looks and feels like, but yeah, these are all the concerns that you would have. But that's the production side. I think the main side for you guys is to think about the content and the quality of the content and what it is you want to communicate. Thank you for the question.
Okay, next.
So the last thing I wanted to touch on was a coalition of the addiction sector. So I'm board chair of Recovery is Happening. And what I found is over the last year and a half, we hired a new executive director there. And Al, you can share our website if you want. But but we have a new executive director whose primary responsibility is getting out in the community with our Rochester Area Foundation, with the business community, and more, even with Mayo Clinic, and let folks know what we're doing at Recovery is Happening. That organization is 10 years old. It's a recovery community organization. So what we've been able to do is get grants from not only the United Way, but also from Mayo Clinic. So we have a grant where we have a cell phone and a pager, and with someone who's challenged with addiction, they end up at St. Mary's Emergency Room or Methodist, we'll get a call and we'll go and counsel or meet with that family with their permission and give them an opportunity to come to our facility. We're, as people know me, it's like that green building right behind Burger King on Broadway. That's Charlie's place, you know. Well, I've been the board chair like 4 years, and I'm going to roll off next year. But I find that funny that that's kind of the description as I go around Rochester. But that's where we are, and we do amazing work there. The coalition that Al asked me to speak to was a collaboration now between Damascus Way, Doc's House, Next Chapter Ministries, and our organization. And here's what I mean by that. Even with Next Chapter, that's where we help those who have been incarcerated. They're out of prison. They're looking to get reacclimated in society. That's what we do with those folks at Next Chapter. We have 5 houses there for men and women. And so while we're helping in that realm, little is known about the addiction and the mental illness that comes with that and their families. So we have partnered with Recovery is Happening and Next Chapter and collaborate on how we might help each other. And there's a lot of synergy there. Doc's House, which is also a community in recovery, we partnered with them because they have a training mechanism. So all of our staff can get licenses through Doc's House, come back to Recovery is Happening. So we're working together. If you think about where we were 2 years ago in this community, everyone had their own silos. Everyone was doing their own thing. And now we're blending the lines this way. So we're actually meeting regularly and we're talking with each other. How can we help each other in the recovery community? You can't go a day without seeing on the news someone who's overdosed, or fentanyl is the big thing now. As a matter of fact, I met with Carla Nelson, Tina Liebling. I met with David Senjum before he became commissioner when he was in the Senate. And they all have appeared before our board and talked about what the state of Minnesota might be able to do to help us in the recovery community, because we're beating the drums to say, people need help. We're out here. We need funding. Help us make it happen. Mayor Norton, I've spoken with. Anyone that's in a leadership position that's able to help, that's what we're doing and collaborating. So Al, I'll just mention that I'll take questions, but it is working with this collaboration of blending what we're doing, and it's effective.
Yeah, well, Charlie, when you and I talk about you're going to speak, and you said you only have about 15 minutes the content to speak. Turns out it's been an hour almost.
Oh my goodness! Wow, I talk
All
way
right,
too much, man.
Anyway, what I like to basically emphasize about this topic is that you have a coalition, and then to make sure that the organization don't work silo mode. You bring them together. That is very similar to CMRC, where our coalitions consist of many different, multiple multiracial groups. So we want to make sure we don't operate in silo mode and bring them together. So that's the reason why I thought it would be inspiring to hear your story, to remind us the importance of our work. Right? Any more questions? Because I'm a little mindful of time too. I've got about half an hour into left in the meeting. So anybody, George, you got your hand raised, yeah.
Sure, I'd like to make a couple comments. One of the comments I'd like to make is you heard Charlie say George a couple times. Well, George is me, and I've known Charlie for about 17 years, and I can speak to his work. I can tell you that he does really quality things, and he does it with a heart for helping people who need information and help. He's very factual and does an absolutely outstanding job. And he's also president of our HOA, doing lots of good things there as well.
And
So,
good also is he's willing to do some pro bono work.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yes.
That's nice about it.
Yes. Thank you, George. I appreciate that.
Okay, thank you. Any quick question? We get 1 more minute or so. Otherwise, we switch over to the other topic. Okay, no, all right. Thank you, Charlie. It's great message and great learning. And then we will learn more from you. See.
Thank you, Al. Just let me know how I can help.
Yeah, okay. So now it's my turn, and then also followed by, as I go through the slides here, I'm going to ask some of the members to actually help me pitch this slide deck. Actually, let's see if I can make this. Okay, so we'll give you some CMRC updates, and what I'm going to talk about some of the engagement projects that we have been working on. CMRC future activities, and also some member announcements we'll touch upon. And there are two kinds of projects or engagements that I'm gonna kind of go through with you. One is those that have been completed, and then those are new and ongoing. Okay, those two types of projects that CMRC, as you look at the portfolio, actually, I think we should be gratified and we're really proud that we have contributed quite a bit to the community, as well as things are coming in that really want to engage us. So as an indication of CMRC, does have visibility out there. Our brand seems to also carry some weight that people want to talk to us. So one of the completed projects were the Perkins, RCT's Perkins, and it's really about how to strengthen career CTE, right? To ensure that BIPOC students are more familiar with it, and then also how do we get them to be more engaged in this CTE education. And Ao, if you are ready, you can say more few words because it's under your guidance, the organization MRIGHT that is consulting firm he runs, and also with the various folks from CMRC that help on this project. You want to say a few words, about a couple of minutes on it? Or?
Yeah, thanks, Hal. This project is one that I think I'm glad we were able to get in that project. And also I want to recognize people that really contributed to this. Yes, I put it together, but I don't own the content. So, I mean, I have a Miriam, Fatima, Khadija, Kim, Nashona, Stephanie. So everybody came together to really put this together. And I believe this is one project whereby it can really help, especially when it comes to increasing the wealth in our community, because we know in many of these professions, there is a lot of I mean, they can make a lot of money doing those work. And one of the things that we also found is the fact, especially in our community, and I'm hoping that we actually follow up on this, is on the findings from this, because RCTC, City of Rochester, have a lot of work to do to really make sure that we can have BIPOC individuals be enrolled in this, because again, they don't feel welcome in those spaces. They don't feel that they belong there. And how do we make sure that we are able to hold them accountable? And I think that's probably the next phase I want us to see is it's not just they doing, because there's a part that, yes, people can know about it, but people have to feel that they are supposed to be there. And I think that's the piece that I really want us to really hammer on and continue to work on that. But it's a very great project, great findings. And I think also, even with the City of Rochester too, how do we make sure that we really follow up on those things that the findings that we had on that project?
Yeah, I'll take this link to get to the final report that we submitted to our CTC. And so just briefly, just give you some idea that this is the report that we generated. Okay. And then another thing I might add too is that we get compensated quite, I think we got pretty fair compensation for this work, right? You say,
Yeah, yes, I would say that, yes.
So that's the beauty of CMRC engaging. We add value to the community, and so also we also get fairly compensated from a nonprofit standpoint, and also for business too. Use organizations and for-profit organization. So we're benefiting both the for-profit as well as nonprofit sector of the BIPOC community. You have any want to add to AO, or I can go on the next slide. Next.
No, I mean, I think I've spoken, I mean, because the report, even I think the executive summary alone, if anyone wants to read that, I think that will give you a huge summary of everything. It's like a page or two, and that will tell you where things stand. So I encourage you to read that report, because it will give you the understanding of where we are and also the work that needs to be done. Go ahead,
One
Matt.
more point is RCTC is promised to come back to us, the CMRC, to give us an update of because we give them recommendations. We really want to hold them accountable to say where it stands, like recommendations, look at actions that they think about taking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think Mark has his hand up. Go ahead, Mark.
Okay. Next one is at the National Institute. Sorry.
Mark has his hand up. Mark
okay, Mark.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, now that you've been through this process and you have a team together, is this something that your organization can do for other public entities or private entities? I mean, it seems like you've got this in place, and it can be certain you could sell it to other folks too.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's part of what it's part of what I mean. It's one of the main things that I do. I mean, facilitation. I mean, some community engagement. I do all of those. But again, people that I work with, they all have different you can see that they have their respective organizations, but we are willing to work together under CMRC umbrella to get this. But definitely, I mean, I can do. I do my own, but at the same time, I do a lot of work with CMRC. Again, this was done under CMRC. But at the same time, every organization also, have their own specific area there. So yes, I do those.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Maybe one detail I want to mention too, when opportunity comes to CMRC, people do like to come to CMRC to present opportunities. So what we do is that we look at the opportunity, say, okay, do we want to, some of the opportunity may be just for one single group, not the whole consortium or collaboration. So we just pass it on, right, to our members, so for them to take on themselves. But other projects like this one is, really require a coalition or consortium to work on it. So there are different kinds of opportunities that we're engaged in, okay? All right, so next one is the National Institute of Health Compass Project. And maybe I'll let Kathy to say a few more detail about this.
Yes, thank you. Most folks in the meeting are aware this was a big effort. The opportunity for funding, which was the technical name because it wasn't actually a grant, was submitted in February of 2023, and NIH and these big projects never meet their own deadlines. So it took a long time for us to be told that we were not going to move on for the funding opportunity. And then finally, towards in the middle of August, we were finally given the scoring results, which is valuable information because it helps us think about the power and significance of what we have put together. And if you take a quick look at those scoring results, you'll see the strong scoring both around significance of the project and also the way that we described the community investigator role, and many roles, frankly, in this particular opportunity, which was using the statewide healings teams to look at issues related to food, culture, and health and wellness around not just diet, but fermentation and food scarcity, and just a wide number of the ways that people from different cultures interact around food and how that contributes to health and how cultural beliefs drive that. And I see Al also included that in the comments and the significance. The reviewers were particularly happy to see the idea that the state director for Medicaid, who technically works for DHS, had sent a letter of support. Because this was a potential 10-year project, so the scale of it was really big. So they were happy to see that we were looking for ways to leverage what we learned and have it just impact our entire state. Because of course, part of this was we talked about how Minnesota has failed communities of color in terms of social determinants of health and other outcomes that is well known to this group in terms of the idea of the Minnesota paradox. So in commenting on the scoring results, and this relates, I think, to the next point, which is a new opportunity with NIH called the Build Up Trust opportunity. The strengths of this proposal really revolved.
Before you go on, Kathy, can you tell us a bit about how, in relative to other, is there any sense of how well what the winning proposals their scoring might be? Is 13.3 out of 16 is pretty good, or what is it, you think?
Yes, they did not share what was, what the scores were like if somebody got 15 out of 15, for example. But I'll share some of the specific language that they did use in talking about it. They really were impressed, the reviewers, with our success with Project Healing. So I think that is something that's not easy to walk away from, because that showed, if you want to use those business terms, way beyond proof of concept. Hey, we have this idea, but with our outcomes for Project Healings, we can show how hard our teams worked and how effective they were in connecting within community around vaccine and dealing with a wide range of needs and supports during the public health emergency. And also another big strength was how well co-design and having our community teams involved in every aspect of the project was really what they were looking for. And if you remember Compass, the idea with Compass was the funds go to the community organizations and they pick and choose the university researchers who do the hard science part of it. So this was an idea of community being in charge, again, looking at aspects of food, cultural views of food, getting a lot of information about that, and then participating in the research study. But the main event was around community engagement. And so we were, again, very highly rated there. And they were commenting too that we talked about not just Medicaid, but also that statewide health improvement grant program, because we also had Olmsted County Public Health signed on with a letter of support.
Right.
So
Okay.
those were both viewed as positives that we really were trying to impact statewide.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
So, all right, the next set of engagement opportunities projects is new. They're new and also ongoing. And this is the Build Up Trust Grant that Kathy's a little bit mentioned actually. So I'd like you to talk a bit more about that too,
Yeah.
Kathy.
Well, the good news is they did send an update yesterday. So we just got an update because we've talked about this a couple of times, but what NIH had sent was extremely vague. So now we have a better idea, but again, it just came yesterday, so still looking and learning. But you see the goals here are very similar, both to what Compass was trying to create and of course, highly related to the successes of Project Healings. And so if CMRC wants to pursue this, I think we would bring those strengths along. I did scroll through the, they have like a little pre-test where they say, are you the right group to be applying for this? And I believe that the CMRC would be able to do that. And if there's interest in this, then what I would suggest is several of us take a good look at the updated information and the timelines. The timelines do not seem impossible to meet. And my first thought on this was, this is like a Shark Tank, you know, innovation, create something new kind of opportunity. And to find those partners. And I know Al's been communicating about this. The U of M, which of course in Rochester is a health sciences campus, would be a fabulous type of partner. Another suggestion that relates to creating this environment of getting known and being invited to participate in some efforts in our community is just looking at the list of innovative medical technology companies that were involved in the Federal Tech Hub grant. I think several of those might be interesting partners for something like this. Certainly Olmsted County Public Health would be another potential group to approach. And on the bottom there, Al's mentioning that there's an upcoming meeting with Mayo Community Engagement Research. And I just want to emphasize how hard it is to have a conversation with Mayo about community engagement research. What I learned in working with Healings and also with Compass is Mayo tends to work with community in the metro area, not so much in Rochester, maybe due to a variety of their beliefs that, well, there are no folks of color in Rochester, or there's no way to easily engage them and, you know, get the kind of numbers and focus that Mayo needs. And I kind of fell into that by looking at applying for several other grants around how do different groups think about, like, say, testing for COVID. What is most comfortable in terms of testing methods and this, that, and the other. And what I learned was Mayo really does mostly work with Twin Cities area organizations around these issues. So I think even that conversation is very valuable to point out that we're here. We have many people interested in participating right here in southeastern Minnesota as a region. We also have a statewide network if they're interested in a statewide network, because many of our Healings partners were all around the state. And so I think all these conversations could be really valuable, as well as all the experience that CMRC members have accrued around co-design in a wide range of projects related to racism and health equity. I just looked at two of the organizations from the Federal Tech Hub. One works on letting you stay home and do all kinds of monitoring of a seizure condition, which means people have to have access to solid Wi-Fi. They need a certain kind of equipment so they can use the app. If you think of our issues, even with people who don't live 20 miles outside of Rochester, for example, with transportation and other issues, you know, because we've done some rural health work, there'd be a lot of potential ways to use this kind of competition, which offers a small amount of money, kind of like a little kickstart idea, and then the potential for larger pools of money, all around community engagement and speaking back to these organizations, trying to develop new and innovative ways to help people live with chronic conditions, detect, treat, monitor diseases and disorders.
Right. I'll add one more point too, is that the title is build up trust. Trust is a lacking commodity. And in Olmsted County's their community council being formed, one of the things they want to work on is building trust. So when they were presenting to CMRC last month, we actually alerted them to say that, okay, if you you want to build up trust, then maybe you should work with this grant to help us to build that whole effort together.
My initial impression of this opportunity was it wouldn't be a bad idea, or you wouldn't have to rule out to have more than one kind of partnership to see what might move forward. So that's another thought too, to think pretty broadly, because it really is meant to be this idea of get all these ideas out and see what happens. And it is also possible for one person to do it. It doesn't have to be an organization, which is sort of interesting, because to tell you the truth, that made me think of students, because often students have innovative ideas and they can get this small amount of money and kind of see where they could take it. So I think we have a lot of natural partners, and I'm open to having conversations with whoever wants to help move this forward to see if we can figure out where CMRC wants to go with this opportunity. If you want to go with it, because I think it's kind of an interesting one.
Yeah. Any question about this from anybody?
I see Mark's hand is up.
Okay, Mark. Yeah. Oh, you're muted.
You need
Mark.
to unmute, Mark.
Pardon me. I'm coming in maybe a little bit late here, Kathy, but I'm thinking of a company, and maybe you've heard of it, the Well Living Lab.
Oh, right. They're here in Rochester,
Yeah.
and they look at
Yeah.
our relationship to internal environments.
Yeah, and I'm just wondering if there's a possible partnership there or a connection.
That's a great example, because they're also Mayo affiliated.
Yeah.
And the way to think about it is we don't have to come up with the research plan. We can say we're interested in working with this range of partners who maybe need to know and hear from communities of color around their experience with whatever it may be, a medical technology, the stress of like climate change. I think of climate change a lot when I think of the Well Living Lab. If humans are going to be indoors more, how do we make that as healthy as possible for people? How does that bump into cultural beliefs, values, and perspectives? There just seems like there are many possibilities within our Rochester ecosystem that might help us move forward with this kind of opportunity.
As I peruse their website, I don't see a whole lot of activity there or focus on underserved communities. So I don't know if that's a focus of theirs or not, but it might be a good thing to ask about.
Yeah, in fact.
Well, and the way maybe is to just say we assume that all these companies need to have that as well, and this is that's the idea of the grant, is it puts everybody together in a way that says we need to explore this, and here's how we can help you. Now, I know Dr. Z has talked with their research director at Well Living Lab, because he sent around, they were looking for research participants. And of course, we also know that, and this is the point we tried to make in the Federal Tech Hub too, that much of the workforce, both in healthcare and tech, are from communities of color, as our younger generations coming up, early career professionals. So there's a lot of ways to interface with all of these innovative companies and research companies, if that's a direction that the group wants to go.
Okay, good. I'll add that the vice president of technology is a friend of mine, Chi Lam. You know, he's in town, so he's also in charge of diversity effort too. So
Yes.
when we want to make that move, I can certainly contact him. Okay, so next project. Okay, this is the Mayo Clinic Innovation Grant. I think I want to talk more about this particular grant. And this is the grant that Mayo Clinic put together, and they call it Social Innovation Grant. The whole idea was to health equity, and then the goal is for this grant is to build something sustainable and potentially scalable through our community. And they want to target this mental health, substance use, and access to care. And they're part of this community health needs assessment thing. And this thing is really about proof of concept too. It's a 1-year proof of concept, and it is open to small businesses that fewer than 500 employees. And what happened is, because their deadline submission, we actually submitted, basically, they submitted a proposal from a CMRC, from a steering committee standpoint. We submitted this. And the idea is it's a pretty ambitious project, to be honest. It's about building a community health collaboration portal, a technology platform that enable you to do things like help you to do. This next slide maybe do a better job talking about. Right now, the community health assessment process, we call it more in the way that they manage this process is kind of more like cooperation, coordination, collaboration. There's no formal structured way to do the community engagement. That's the current method. So what we're suggesting is that if they really wanted to be effective, they really need to get into a collective impact model. Collective impact model meaning that you need to have a system or structure that says you have the common agenda for the coalition, for the collaboration. You have a shared measurement system. You have the communication, continuous communication, and mutually reinforcing activities. This is a well-known methodology of collective impact. So it's really a notion about moving from simply cooperation, coordination, loosely things into a more formal, structured way to produce effective results. So that is also our proposal was to, first of all, you need to co-design the adoption of it. Right, it may take some buy-in about collective impact being adopted by the group. And then once you've done that, and then you can build out a portal that I got it kind of visualized for you a little bit about technology platform that can support these conditions for collective impact. Things like common agenda, shared measurement system, communication, mutually enforcing activity. So if you have a platform that can enable, first, if you adopted this notion about you wanted to use collective impact as a way to drive your progress, then we're saying you need to have a technology platform to help it, so that you can have display of the results. You can have also drill down on the various mutually reinforcing activities and then how they're doing. So that is our proposal. And I don't know how well it will get into the, they never mentioned, when they will be giving us the final decision is made. So we'll just wait for that to happen. The learning, though, is that even though this proposal that we have letter support for ICAM, Somali Association, Pandemic Research Responders Journey, etc. We have letter support to support our submission. So basically, what I want to tell a story is that the coalition submitted a letter of support and backed up by the letter support from our membership. Okay, so make it a stronger kind of support. And another thing is, presumably, if this becomes accepted, it'd be a proof of concept, and presumably you'll even get some some technical advice from Mayo Clinic and some professional help too to do the proof of concept. Okay, it almost sounds like you don't have to go along. They will actually provide some competency and some resource to help us perform the proof of concept. So that really is with the project. Okay, any question? I'm going a little fast. Kim Sin raised his hand. Kim, yeah.
For the concept that of the compass is that I've been hearing a lot of since after COVID. There's a lot of teenagers, especially middle school and high school, mostly middle school students, have lost a way of social interacting in person. They mostly are too attached in the digital world that they forget what it's really like to interact in person. And then when they try to interact, they feel uncomfortable. And it seems like it's becoming a illness, like, some of them becoming nervous. And I've been talking to parents that they don't feel the same of interacting with people. And like their peers, they feel more comfortable interacting online. And that's been an issue with a lot of parents, and their education is going down as well. I'm getting a lot of the parents complaining about their kid grade are going down because they tend to chat late at night and they're getting addicted to online chatting. And then there's the AI that they're talking to animation intelligent, and
Okay.
they can speak freely.
Kim, I got your point. So because we're running short of time, is there a question somewhere? I get your point about kids. Yeah.
Yes. So is there like a thing that we would submit a grant regarding to, the tech and social media, how it affects teenagers?
That could be an opportunity from us, but I'm just addressing what's out there already, right? So I think I'll take your point about that. Okay. So I take your point. Yep. And
would also add that it was, I think, last time we met that ICAM brought up an issue around mental health and resilience for, youngsters and teens. So I know there's interest in that, and
sure,
that's definitely an important issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But that's a future thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's something that we can maybe, it's a different topic, perhaps, we can push, the importance of this and then maybe get some grant from somewhere else. But I'm just addressing what has been offered to us to participate right now. Okay,
that's right. That's for future.
For future. So, and then the United States EDA Tech Hubs is this actually EDA issued by the EDA is what is it? I can't remember what they stand for. Entrepreneurship kind of development agency. And so DMC EDA is leading this submission to form a consortium. The idea is to devise a Bio-Rochester Tech Hub strategy. And CMRC was invited to part of the consortium, and then Kathy sort of hinted at that the consortium actually consists of pretty powerful resources within our community. You have the economic development agencies such as READY, DMC, DA, and a number of the organizations, workforce training organizations such as SBDC that Mark finds and those things. And higher learning, a part of that consortium, which is UMR, RCTC, and then industry groups and the firms, and a number of these firms that are sort of they're bioscience, biotech companies that are in town. There have been, and including things like the Medical Alley, some of these really, up and coming entrepreneurial organizations. And then, of course, the elementary school and secondary schools like Rochester Public School. So the point being that I like we're being invited to be at the table to become a consortium. So we've actually generated a letter of support. We've been asked to create a letter of support, and we generated one. And this is our letter of support. And let me see, I can make it a little bigger for us to look at. So the way that we are, CMRC will bring to the table is effective. A lot of experience in doing large scale collaboration, such as project healing, such as other things, right? And then also we can also promote expansion of tech workforce, such as within our coalition we got BIPOC technical professionals as well as tech companies too. They're typically underrepresented, underknown. So when we play the role in the consortium, we'll really promote that we have these people around, that they want to be part of this conversation here. And then because we're also, a lot of us are this is actually related to community technical education. We've already done the work for the Perkins Project, and we'll continue to do that to educate BIPOC parents and to build up the pipeline for workforce. And then lastly, but not least, is to become visible model for BIPOC youth. Being that we are BIPOC people, and they can see us as a role model that we have STEM profession, career path, and so the youth can consider that as a valuable career path for them. Okay. So this basically is a letter that we supply, and then this I'll just scroll down a little bit. We got all this little support from the various organizations within CMRC. Okay. Oops. Okay, so let me see what else I got here. All right, so now the next one is, and then yeah, maybe okay. Last but not least, maybe another organization. This is a new one that comes along, and that SPDC. Maybe Mark, are you still there, Mark Thine, or you maybe not, Mark Thine?
Yep,
You're the one that kind of put this together for us, and then we're driving. So you can say a few words. We only have about maybe 2 minutes, maybe the most, to say a few words about this. Yeah.
Okay. So we're funded. The Small Business Development Center provides one-on-one technical assistance to entrepreneurs, and we're funded by the federal government. But we need, in our grant, we need a one-to-one match to spend those federal dollars. And this program, the Small Business Assistance Partnership Grant Program, is a state program that really fits our organization and what we do. So we're applying for these funds to support our agency to be able to deliver technical assistance services to startups and existing entrepreneurs with a focus on the underserved community or BIPOC community in our 11 county region. So part of the grant writing process is, of course, letters of support. And I approached Al not very long ago, just a couple days ago. So I wanted to put this forward, or Al wanted to put this forward to your organization to see if that's something that you could do.
Yep, thank you. So the letter support we've drafted one, and then it's being circled around CMRC steering committee for, and so far it looks good. To be honest, we have a due date about Friday for everybody to come back to state a position. Okay, so we expect that by Friday we can give you the formalize the letter support draft that you have already seen, Mark. Actually, yep. Okay, so
thank you.
Let's move on a little bit. Okay, another project, I want to bring that up a little bit only because the fact that there was some new development, the fact that when we talked to Mark Thine, he mentioned that potentially this whole idea of an intercultural center, a space that encourages intercultural exchange from a BIPOC food-based STEM's point of view. And then also their notion about nonprofit share space for nonprofit sector to share the space, that he also believes, Mark, I don't want to put word in your mouth, that you might want to, if this space is available, the SBDC, people like SBDC that motivate and give consultation to startups, so entrepreneurs from a BIPOC standpoint, to have a presence right there in that center. So that is the new news here that you'll be interested, to maybe follow up on the development of ICR. Right? Okay. You that
Can you
okay.
Excuse me, am I understanding that this is connected with what Mark just explained to us? Is it possible? Because the other one is more about technical support.
Yeah.
Miriam, I think they're two separate things.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Unless the ICR center can be built and occupied by 2025, because that's our grant window.
2025. Well, it's just that we always have to be at the outlook of where money can come, where we can come together.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah. What the letter of support actually indicated, the fact that Mark would give us some help out on maybe develop the strategy and maybe business planning, that type of thing for this project. That would be his contribution in the coming immediately, a year or two, right? Okay, so and this is an ongoing engagement. Okay, there is Homestead County, potentially they got 4.4 million, all that stuff that we might have watched potentially to say, is that something that CMRC can tap into? Okay, so that's the reason I have this slide here. I do want to get to the next slide, which really, okay, wow, future planning. Okay, wow. Okay, we only have about, I'll just say a few words there, Ao, if you like.
Yeah, thanks, Al. In this case, what we've done is with all the members of the team, we've come together to design the vision for CMRC, and the goal, our vision is to become the bridge that connects racially marginalized communities to themselves and opportunities, and that's what we've developed. We've worked through that. We've been able to clarify the things that we want to do. And also we're able to develop our mission as well. And I believe other things that we did also is to look at the value that will bring to individuals and the value that will bring to our communities, to really put all of these things together, making sure that we are on the way to formalize everything that we do. We are still having conversations about, do we want to be a 501c3 or how do we want to organize ourselves? So that conversation is still ongoing, but definitely we've been able to clarify the services that we'll be providing, our vision and mission, and also the values that we bring to our community. So that's where we are. So we are planning the third one, and the third one will be the focus. We'll be talking more about how we intend to organize ourselves. Those are the things that will be coming up in the next few in our third meeting that we are looking for.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, the next to talk about is some of the CMRC member events. These are members that have their events that we're here to publicize a little bit. Journey has got, let's talk about it. It's actually happening at the same time as we are conducting this meeting. So that's why Journey is not here today. And this is an interesting one that Dr. Z is doing this first annual Health Bridge Conference. And if people are open to the public to attend, and the whole idea is to become a health bridge, inviting some of the people that will be there will be from a United States online standpoint, hospital, from Cleveland, from University of Alabama, and Chinese guests online to talk about. Jen, are you still there? You kind of say a few words about this, or you? maybe he's dropped off. But the whole idea really is that why is the CMRC sort of, embracing this somewhat? Because we are about building bridges. Even though we also realize that right now the tension between the two countries, politically, the United States and China, is quite strained, right? But the fact that it's focused on health, focused on sustaining health, so that is non-political as far as we're concerned. So we believe that having this conference and inviting all our community members to attend is a good thing, because we want to extend the friendship in terms of caring for people's health and wellness. And this conference is the first of its kind, and supposedly we would expand the network beyond just these two participants, including some of the other countries as well. So that is a big picture, why this may be important. Kim, you got a comment, or you're just raising it? You forgot to lower your hand. Okay, maybe.
You gotta lower my hand.
Okay. All right. So just wanted to comment to you that this is a conference that people can go, and then what's nice about it is dinner is free, free of charge and free dinner. And then the rest of it, Promotion Women Culture Day is August 26th. And this second annual gala is September 20th. The links here will take you to the detail of these events. Okay, boy. All right. So okay.
I don't know if I can talk about this, because I don't know if Mark is still here, but we have a training coming up with SBDC as well, that myself and Kim will be leading. So it's for people that want to start a new business. So mostly it's focused on BIPOC communities mostly. And if you can, and anyone that wants to start a new business, whatever they want to do, even if you don't know what they want to do at this time, our plan is to really help them figure out what they want to do. They have an idea. We'll take them from the idea stage to implementation stage. So I'll be sending you the flyer once it's concluded, so that we can put it on OpenBeam.
Yep, thank you. Good.
And so am I. I'm gonna send you the one of the Latino Fest. Everybody's invited. Is September 16th.
Okay, good. Anything else from anybody before we close? And want to thank everybody. Thank Charlie for your re-inspiring talk, and we're going to learn a lot from you. And then everybody that contributed to the CMRC status. Okay, if nothing else, then farewell, everybody. Good night, good evening. All right. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.